Hi, I'm Bobby Hemel. Today I want to talk to you about enjoyment. Having enjoyment. I want to start off by reading Psalms 37:4, and it says, "Delight yourself in the Lord. He will give you the desires of your heart." A lot of times we just want to say, God will give us the desires of our heart. But the first part of that is so important. Delight yourself in the Lord. Now, so I looked up the meaning, the Hebrew meaning for delight, and it commands us to find enjoyment in God. We may go to church and maybe read our Bibles and live pretty good, but are we delighting in God? Are we delighting in Him? Are we resting in Him? Are we loving on Him? So the Lord wants us to incline our hearts to Him, to lean into Christ, where we would discover unspeakable joy. This joy is not joy you find when you buy a new car or get new clothes or have something new. It's a lasting joy, one that heals all things, a joy that heals. Think about that a minute. It heals all pain, all strongholds, things that held us captive. It's a joy that brings us freedom, one of full of love that tries all things. When we seek Him, we find the enjoyment of a lifetime. So what does that mean? Let me give you a story or an example. When me and my husband first met, what did we do? Well, first thing I did was look him up, right? Well, we didn't have Google, but I called a few friends. But the first thing we would do when we meet somebody new is we're going to Google them. We're going to stalk them on social media. We're going to find out as much as we can about that new friend or that new guy in our life, new girl in our life. We're going to do all of that. So the first thing I did is I called people that knew him, found out more about him. The next thing we did is we began to talk. We began to spend time with one another. And we would talk on the phone. I remember us one time talking on the phone nonstop for 3 hours. I mean, just no dry moments in that when we were getting to know each other. Now we can sit in a room for 3 hours and not say a word, but be fulfilled. But when we were getting to know one another, we were beginning to spend time with them. We would incline ourselves to them. We made time for them. We made a lot of time for that person, when we first get to know them. Well, the same thing is with God. Delighting ourselves, finding enjoyment. All right, we would enjoy the time we had with one another, just like you should enjoy the time that you have with one another. But we need to do this with God. We need to enjoy ourselves in God. How do we do that? Well, we read the Word, but not because He tells us to read the Word every day. We do it to get to know His character, to get to know Him. It's a living Word, a Word that we can equip ourselves, one that brings healing, one that breaks strongholds. It's a living Word. So we're in the Word, not necessarily because we're supposed to, but the reason we're supposed to is to find enjoyment. So we do that through the Word. We do that through worship. Spending time in worship, not just at church, not just a song, but spending time when you're alone, saying, Lord, I love you. I want to be in your presence. Lord, come into me. Father, I bring myself to your altar. I give you the desires of my heart. One that we enjoy being in his presence and being quiet before him to listen to what he has to say. And you'll know it when it's him. And then go to church and don't just listen to get through it, but to learn. When your pastor is speaking to you, take notes. Begin to learn more about God. Go home and study the scriptures for yourself. This is all a part of finding enjoyment in God. Finding enjoyment in God. We need to spend time finding enjoyment in God. Because when we do this, it's not a burden. It becomes an enjoyment. We're delighting ourselves in the Lord. And as we do that, your desires will change to His desires. And then He will run you down with blessings. It's in His Word. It's a proven fact. The more that we enjoy ourselves in the Lord, that we delight ourselves in the Lord, He will give us the desires of our heart. He will place the desires in our heart. So say you are doing all these things and you're like, Lord, I don't know if this is what I want is for you. Number one, does it line up with the Word of God? And number two, He is giving you the desires. So as long as it don't make you sin and it lines up with the Word of God, that desire is from God. He will give you the desires of your heart, but you must delight in Him. Have a great week. God bless.